Week 16, Bucks, Lions. Going through what y'all need to know to make some money on this bitch. So first, let's do the picks real quick. We got the Buccaneers favored by 9.5 on the road in Detroit, and the over/under set at 54. So first thing, the Bucks are going to win the game. Money line safe. There's not a ton of value on it, but the Bucks are going to win the game. As far as the spread goes, I do think that's bettable. The Bucks minus 9.5. Now I'm not crazy about it. It's obviously a little high, but that is the side I would end up on. And as far as the over under goes, 54 number's way too high. I'd still be leaning on the side of the over, but that's just not really touchable as far as I'm concerned. But stick around, I'll tell you that's how it'll go down. So first we got the Bucks offense versus the Lions defense. So injury wise, nothing important at all, or I don't think anything in the first place on the Bucks. And on the Lions defense, we had three starters listed as questionable: Daryl Roberts, Jimmy Collins, and Jermaine Kearse, or Jaron Kearse. Sorry. We'll see who plays. Given that the Lions are completely out of everything, I would wonder if they just kind of don't bother and don't play them. As of now, though, I'm going to operate as though they are playing just to be more favorable to the Lions because they're going to get fucked up anyway. But first, we got the run game. So Ryan's run defense, absolute garbage. That does not change here. Bucks offensive line legitimately good, especially when healthy. They had issues more last week with Donovan Smith being on the COVID list. They're starting left tackle, but he's back. So you're going to see that they're going to be able to control the line of scrimmage consistently. And despite the Lions actually having some like okay kind of fat interior runs, run stuffers, they're nowhere near good enough. And frankly, Ali Marpet, probably one of the absolute best guards in the league, is going to be able to do some work in there. So, and honestly, even it's kind of just one. It's just John Pinacini on the Lions in terms of the D tackles because their other guys, Nick Williams, kind of bad, and their other was like they kind of played Kevin Strong some. He's terrible, terrible, but yeah, you're going to see control of the line of scrimmage and on the edges. Lions edge defenders are the maybe worst in the league as far as run defense goes. I mean, whatever rotation they're throughout there is really bad. The only one I think is okay is Austin Bryant, and I do think he's okay, but he can't. He can't stand up to this. So their overall run game is going to be really good and really consistent. Also, the Lions linebackers, Jamie Collins is good. The rest of them are unbelievably awful. And that's the case here. Although I do think there's a little bit of a chance Reggie Ragland, this is the type of game where he doesn't have to get too sideline to sideline, that he could be not completely awful, but I wouldn't trust him to make a difference. So then you talk about the pass game. I mean, pass rush first, nothing. Lions literally have zero source of pass rush. Although I want to quick mention they're getting Julian Aquara, their third round rookie, back from IR this week. And when he's playing, I mean, he only played like a game or whatever. He actually like kind of looked okay. So I'm just gonna keep an eye on that more than I don't really care for the outcome of this game, but something to look at. Yeah, they don't generate pressure with their scheme. None of their players individually good enough. Romeo Aquar is okay. He's not good enough here. So yeah, no. You talk about no pass rush. You talk about the receivers who listen. I have issues that I've talked about before with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, as far as like actually being good technical receivers and getting open consistently because they don't all the time. But here, they're still good and they're beyond the threshold needed here. Amani Oruwariye, Daryl Roberts, line starting corners. Well, I actually think that they match up like theoretically, style wise with the Bucks receivers. In practice, they're just not good enough. And same with Antonio Brown and Justin Coleman in the slot, where Antonio Brown is significantly better. So you're talking about Tom Brady right behind the offense, like in a completely clean pocket, basically throwing to receivers who are going to be open, especially over the course of a play. Like I said, I'm not crazy about them quickly, but over time they're more than fine. So I have them at 30 to 37 points. Frankly, their pieces would dictate numbers should be higher, like what you've seen out of the Colts recently and whoever destroyed them last week too, the Titans. Difference here is that the Bucks offense is just too dumb. They do not consistently run good offense, and that's what happened last week versus the Falcons. We've seen that all year. They're the way that Bruce Arians does it's really high risk and reward, but the risk catches up to them a lot, especially on a drive to drive basis, which is the case here. So as far as the Lions go, Lions offense, injury wise, lots of questionables on the Lions offense. Matt Stafford looks questionable. He's going to play. But more importantly, Frank Ragnow, Taylor Decker, two really good starting offensive line for the Lions. Both listed as questionable. Now, I think they're probably both going to play. Frank Ragnow did miss last week, but we'll see. we'll see. And also, Hal Vaitai, their backup kind of swing tackle guard, um, he's questionable too. So even if Taylor Decker doesn't play, then we might be talking about a third string practice squad tackle on the edge, which is real bad. But other than that, Kenny Galladay's still out, and on the Bucs side, Carlton Davis doubtful. So I'm just gonna assume he's not gonna play. So running game not good. Lions can actually run the ball pretty well in quite a few matchups. This isn't really one of them. They don't have the advantage. So on the interior, Frank Ragnow, like I said, is fantastic, but he's more of a neutral in this game with versus the Bucs interior than like a real consistent positive. Their guards are just okay, and on the edges, I mean, Tyrell Crosby starting tackle out again too. I should have mentioned that. So I talked to last week how I like Matt Nelson, their backup tackle, and I think he proved that last week that he's actually okay. But as a run blocker, he's whatever. And versus the Bucs edge defenders, there's just no control at the line of scrimmage. The Bucs linebackers still good. They're not crazy, but definitely still good and absolutely good enough here to consistently limit the run game. And it's not like the Lions do anything fancy to create space. So bad run game, like pretty consistently. In the passing game, I mean, while there's not crazy amounts of pass rush, there's kind of enough over the course of over a play between the different spots to limit the offense. Like I said, there's no one like individually I'm super scared of on the Bucs, but when you talk about their strong interior pushing the pocket in a little bit, especially versus the guards of the Lions, and their Lions tackles, even if Taylor Decker plays, not being perfect, and if he doesn't, then then you're creating a huge. Then I'm like really worried. But there's enough pass rush to be limiting. The Lions receivers are pretty whatever. They've put up stats because they've been throwing the ball a ton versus bad defense the last 2 weeks. And that's just not quite the case here. Now the Bucs still doing this. Something I talked about. Still doing this real dumb zone defense that they absolutely. It's inexcusable given their personnel that they opted for this since at this point it's been like 5 to 6 weeks. So I'm assuming that's what they're going to keep doing, and it's how they keep playing a lot worse than they should be as a defense. Problem is here, Lions receivers not really good even. They're whatever. I mean, Marvin Jones is, I guess he's okay. He's kind of like Mike Evans in a lot of ways in terms of not getting open. He's worse, but you like that. And Mohamed Sanu, Quintus Cephas, pretty similar players actually, just like slower, bigger body slot guys that don't worry me. And same with TJ Hockenson is a whatever tight end. He's been putting up fantasy numbers because, again, they've been throwing the ball a ton versus bad defenses. He's not good individually. He doesn't create separation. He doesn't create offense. So, yeah, you're not talking about a ton of separation. No, it's not awful because you do have veteran receivers playing against a bad zone defense, right? So I don't want to gloss over that. There is chances to move the ball, but yeah. And then as far as Matt Stafford himself, he is good like individually, but he's not crazy against zone defenses. And he's actually similar to what you saw with Matt Ryan last week. So, the Falcons put up a lot of points, right? And they did. But two things: one, Calvin Ridley's infinitely better than any offensive weapon on the Lions, and Calvin Ridley went off last game. Two, the Falcons have a better offensive line, pass blocking wise, especially given the injuries right now. And three, I mean, they sucked in the second half, the Falcons did, and the Lions really similar, except for there's a way higher chance of them sucking the whole game instead of just the second half. So yeah, even once they get to the red zone, the Lions, Matt Stafford traditionally bad in the red zone, absolutely the case here. They don't have anyone. They don't have any weapons. It's not like they can't really run the ball well. They can't overpower them once they get there. None of their receivers outside of jump balls, which sure is possible, but anytime the first thing and the main possibility of scoring a touchdown for an offense is with a fucking jump ball, it's not. This is not a consistent successful situation. So I have them at 13 to 20 points. The only way it gets higher than that, I think, is if they're down by a ton and they're throwing the ball for a full half down by 20, which is it's possible. The Bucs offense is kind of too stupid to have that happen. I would guess. So I don't necessarily think they get really higher than that. And if anything, it's possible they go lower if they just settle for field goals the whole time. So that's why, Bucs minus 9.5. Definitely think it's bettable, but Bucs just a little too stupid to cover a large spread like that consistently. They are going to win the game though. And the over, I like the over, but it's too high. And given the chances of both of these teams shooting themselves in the foot offensively. I wouldn't touch it. And that is Buccaneers Lions.